Hey, this is PJ. Welcome to your second week of life groups and your second week of this series called Impact, in which we're talking about how to impact our schools for Christ. Last week, we talked about what we would need as a fuel to impact our schools for Christ, and that fuel is love. But if you know much about love, you know that love is a verb. Love is not just a word that can be said, it has to come with action so that those receiving it know that it's true, that it's real. And so this week we're going to talk about what real love is and how real love comes through action. So much like you go to the gas station, you put gas in your car and you get in, you turn the ignition switch and put the car in drive and push on the gas pedal, you hope that it goes somewhere. You hope that it takes you to your destination. You see, so this week, while we realized last week we put the fuel in the car, we know what that fuel has to be, that it has to be the love of Christ. This week we're going to talk about what we're doing with that pushing on the gas pedal, that task that needs to be done to get us to where our destination.
Anna! Oh no.
Olaf, get away from there.
Whoa. So this is heat. I love it. Ooh, but don't touch it. So, where's Hans? What happened to your kiss?
I was wrong about him. It wasn't true love.
But we ran all the way here.
Please, Olaf, you can't stay here. You'll melt.
I am not leaving here until we find some other act of true love to save you. Do you happen to have any ideas?
I don't even know what love is.
That's okay. I do. Love is putting someone else's needs before yours. Like, you know, how Kristoff brought you back here to Hans and left you forever.
Kristoff loves me?
Wow, you really don't know anything about love, do you?
Olaf, you're melting.
Some people are worth melting for. Just maybe not right this second. Ah! Don't worry, I've got it. We're gonna get through this. Oh, wait. Hang on. I'm getting something. It's Kristoff and Sven! They're coming back this way!
They are?
Wow, he's really moving fast. I guess I was wrong. I guess Kristoff doesn't love you enough to leave you behind.
Help me up, Olaf. Please.
No. You need to stay by the fire and keep warm.
I need to get to Kristoff.
Why? Oh, I know why! There's your act of true love right there! Riding across the fjords like a valiant, pungent reindeer king! Come on! Huh?
Here's the reality. The Christians in this country haven't always done a good job of representing the love of Christ to others. We've settled for debates, for arguments, for finger pointing, for spiritual superiority, name calling, gossiping, even through prayer requests and glances of judgment instead of radical, unconditional love. Do you think these are effective? What result do you think comes from these? And if they're not good, why do we keep using them? You see, nobody ever started following Christ because they lost an argument with a Christian. No one starts following Christ because Christians judge and have condemned them. You and I are not called to be lifestyle referees to this world, to those who don't know Christ, but we're called to love and to love through action. So right after Jesus had ascended back into heaven, Scripture talks about the early church and the things they did. Here in Acts 2:43 through 47, we find this. All came upon everyone because many wonders and signs were being done by the apostles. All who believed were together and had all things in common. They sold all their possessions and goods to distribute the proceeds to all as any had need. Day by day, as they spent much time together in the temple, they broke bread at home and they ate their food with gladness and generous hearts, praising God and having the goodwill of all people. And day by day, the Lord added to their number those who were being saved. You know, if that was a news story on WSAZ, it might sound like a lot of just crazy people doing crazy things for the community around them. We might even say they're radicals. But what if they could say that about us? What would a news story about the Garage Student Ministries look like? Would we get to look like radicals? Would we get to be the people who are an example for all the other believers? Or would we just go into the flow of what all other Christians were? How would WSAZ cover a story about what we were doing as a youth ministry? John 15:12 says this, "This is my commandment, that you love one another, just as I have loved you." You see, we're living in a day and age that's significantly different than what your parents or my parents grew up in. It's safe to say that those who follow Christ and strive to live like him are in a minority in most communities. All you have to do is think about your school, for instance. What percentage of students strive to live like Christ? Forget the titles people like to use by saying they're a Christian, but what percentage of them really strives to live like Christ lived? On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being striving every moment and 1 being the opposite of what Christ did, where would you place yourself? You see, the world's asking a question. They're saying, I wonder if all this stuff that Christians say is really true. And they don't want to hear a long explanation or necessarily read the life book to find the answer. Words are cheap. They want to see the answers in people who claim to have the answer. 1 John 3:16 through 18 says, "We know love by this, that he laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for others as well. But whoever has the world's goods and sees his brother in need, yet closes his heart to him, how does the love of God abide in him? Listen, students, let us not love with words or with tongue, but in deeds and in truth." Now you're going to pause this video and you're going to take a few moments with your life group leader to discuss the discussion questions that go along with this lesson. There's this guy named Bob Goff, who is an author and speaker and a successful lawyer and U.S. diplomat to Uganda, where he goes to speak the light of Christ to some of the darkest corners, rescuing kids out of terrorist groups. These kids have had the most evil and horrid things done to them, and in one particular case, Bob was able to not only rescue a child, but also to get one of the most infamous witch doctors arrested and put in prison. This witch doctor wanted Bob dead. While Bob was back in the States, the love of Christ started working on him a little bit, and he felt very burdened for this witch doctor. Now, this doctor had harmed, mutilated, and even killed children. People of Uganda really feared him, but Bob decided to fly over to Uganda and visit the witch doctor in prison. And in his lengthy visit, Bob was able to share Jesus with the guy, and he repented and turned his life to Christ. I tell you that story so that you can understand that this love, this power of Christ, is not the love the world completely understands. You see, it's different. It's a love that says that every person matters. Every person is redeemable. And it's a love that is a force that even the greatest evils can't withstand. When talking about his story, Bob often says this: "I used to want to fix people. Now I just want to be with them."
See, you got rednecks, then you have river rats. So I'm reading over in Romans chapter 12, "Be good to your enemies, pray for those who persecute you, do not return evil for evil." The river rats tend to be far better thieves than your just local rednecks. You be good to them and don't return evil for evil. I was fishing for a living. It's my livelihood. I'm working my tail off. They're hungry, feed them. These river rats would steal my fish. I'd caught several of them before then. Usually I just come up, roar out there, come up with my shotgun and say, "The next person who moves dies." They're stealing my fish here, Lord. They're hungry, feed them. And you want me to do what? Do not return evil for evil. Well, I have to see if that will work, but it makes no earthly sense, that's for sure. So one day I heard a motor slow down. These guys pull over to my float, and I'm watching them through the bushes. So I said, I'm gonna be good to them, but I'm carrying my gun just in case they're not good to me. And I'm gonna do what the Lord said. I'm gonna be good to them. So I roar up on them, and they're getting my net almost up in their boat, and they look up and they see this guy coming. That'd be me, wide open. I said, "What were you boys doing with that net?" And they said, "Oh, is that what that was?" I said, "Yeah, that'd be a hook net. It belongs to me." I said, here's the good news. I'm going to raise the net, and whatever's in there, I'm going to give them to you. And when I said that, they looked at each other and they said, they left me looking back. And all of a sudden, up and down the river, they quit stealing my fish. I just gave them what they were trying to steal. I took that to mean God was right all along.
I think it's time that we stop trying to fix people and we start loving them. God is the great physician, not us. He mends hearts and restores lives, not us. God makes them new, not us. You and I just need to show up in somebody's life. We need to get serious about one another and drop the religious chip off our shoulder and share Jesus with them so that they might know the love and the joy, the compassion and the grace that comes through a relationship with Him. That's it. We've come to the end of the evening. I hope you've had a good night with your life group and a good time of discussion and growing in your faith, and you're ready to put the pedal to the metal and get to your destination by sharing the love of Christ with others through actions. Just a few announcements before you go. 2 fundraisers we have coming up. The first is the car detailing on the 27th, September 27th. You can work all day from 8 to 8. Hopefully we have enough cars to do that. If you know somebody who still wants to get their car detailed and I don't have their number yet, hurry and get that to me before Sunday and we'll get them on the list. The second one is October 12th. We're doing dinner and a show at 6 o'clock. We are going to serve dinner to our church and community. And at 7 o'clock, we're going to begin the youth talent show, and we're going to showcase some of your talent. So if you're not on the list yet, but you can dance or sing or act or twirl around in circles or spin plates on your fingers, we want you. So let me know that you have that talent and you want to be a part of the talent show, and we'll get you signed up as well. The last thing that we have is State Youth Convention coming up. That's why I tell you about the fundraisers before, because you have an opportunity to earn money to pay the $150 or part of the $150 that it's going to cost to go on that trip. The State Youth Convention is November 14th through the 16th at the Flatwoods Days Inn Conference Center. There's information on all of these things on the information table next to the door. Pick up that SYC packet and the SYC permission slip. Take that home to your parents. Talk to them about it. Get it filled out and get it in the box in the church lobby. I, again, am so glad you guys were here this evening. I love each one of you. I appreciate you, and I believe in you. See you next week.